Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready.
Today we're stepping into the arena, folks, to talk about Roman gladiators.
Ah, gladiators. A classic.
But here's the thing, we're not just going over the blood and the battles, we're going deeper. Exploring the equipment and armor that these warriors relied on.
Looking at the gear. Interesting angle.
Because, it turns out, there's a whole story hidden beneath the helmets and shields. A story that tells us not just about the gladiators themselves, but about Roman society, their values, even their obsessions.
So, like, we're talking material culture.
Totally. Think about it. What did a gladiator's choice of weapons say about their fighting style or their status?
Or how their armor, or lack of it, played into the whole spectacle of the game.
Exactly. So let's start with something I think everyone finds fascinating. The helmets.
Oh yeah, the helmets. Some of those are pretty wild.
I mean, some of them are almost like works of art, right?
Yeah, with the elaborate crests and the visors.
So you'd think they were meant for a museum, not a bloodbath?
But that's the thing. Those helmets were designed to be both functional and theatrical.
Like, give me an example. What's one that really stands out to you?
Well, there's the Murmillo helmet, for instance.
A Murmillo, okay.
It had this wide brim, almost like a hat, and a big crest shaped like a fish.
A fish? That's kind of weird.
It does sound strange, but you gotta imagine it in the arena. That helmet was all about intimidation. Plus, that brim, it was practical too. It helped to deflect blows.
So it wasn't just about looking cool.
Well, looking cool was definitely part of it. Remember, these gladiators were performers. But every detail served a purpose.
Like the helmet was part of the gladiator's personal brand.
Exactly. It told you who they were, what they fought for, and what you could expect from them in the arena.
And then, it's kind of surprising when you get to the armor.
How so?
Well, gladiators didn't wear a lot of it, did they?
Not really, no. They often protected only one arm or leg.
Why not more? You'd think they'd want to be fully covered, for protection.
Yeah. Well, that's where the Romans' love of spectacle comes in.
Right. Less armor equals more danger. More danger equals a better show.
Bingo! The Romans knew that vulnerability was a key part of the entertainment.
Like a calculated risk.
Absolutely. By exposing themselves, the gladiators were showing off their skill, their reflexes. They were basically saying, we don't need all that heavy armor, we can handle this.
And for the audience, it must have been terrifying and thrilling at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. It heightened the tension and made each fight unpredictable.
Because one wrong move could be fatal.
Exactly. And that brings us to the weapons.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting.
Swords, spears, nets, tridents, you name it, they probably had it.
And they all had a purpose, right?
Definitely. Each weapon was linked to a specific type of gladiator, and each gladiator had a specific role to play in the arena.
Give me an example.
Okay, take the Rotarius, for instance.
Rotarius, what's that?
He was the guy with the net and the trident.
Oh, like a fisherman?
Kinda, yeah. But his fighting style was all about agility and trickery. He was meant to be a nimble opponent.
So it's like they were crafting different types of matchups to keep the audience entertained.
Exactly. They understood the power of contrast. Pitting a nimble Rotarius against, say, a heavily armed secutor, it was like a David and Goliath story unfolding right there in the arena.
And the weapons played a huge role in shaping those narratives.
And the same goes for shields.
Yeah, those were pretty varied too.
You had everything from big rectangular shields to small, round ones.
So I'm guessing the shield a gladiator chose was also tied to their fighting style.
You got it. A large rectangular shield was all about defense, holding your ground, weathering the storm of attacks. A smaller round shield, that was for agility, for quick movements, for ducking and weaving.
So whether it's helmets, armor, weapons, or shields, they all had a deeper meaning. They weren't just practical tools, they were part of the gladiator's identity.
And they reflected something about Roman culture itself.
Right, there's a lot of symbolism woven into all of this.
Think about it. A lot of the gear we see in the arena has echoes of the Roman military.
So they're making a connection between the gladiators and the power of Rome.
Exactly. It's a subtle reminder of who's in charge. Even in this brutal, violent spectacle, they're reinforcing the idea of Roman dominance.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground here. Helmets, armor, weapons, shields. And it's incredible how every piece tells a story.
It's a story about individual gladiators, about their fighting styles, their personalities.
But it's also a story about Roman society as a whole, their values, their obsessions. It's really fascinating.
Makes you think, if you were thrown into that arena, what would you choose?
Your kind of gear. Oof, that's a tough one.
What kind of gladiator would you be?
I think I'd go for something with speed and agility.
Smart.
Maybe like the Vitarius with the net and the trident. Try to outmaneuver my opponent.
But could you handle the pressure? Standing there with minimal armor, knowing one wrong move could be it.
That's a whole other level of courage.
It is.
And that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the arena. We'll see you next time.
Until then.
And remember, stay curious.
And stay sharp.